for my 16th birthday, for all of the boys' 16th birthday, you had a choice for your birthday present. It was either a .22 or a shotgun. You were going to get a gun when you turned 16.
Right.
And we would go out with Dad hunting. We did not. We offered that as an option to get a gun, but we did not demand it. I mean, they had other options. I did take the boys house shooting though, and I had this glorious video of Andrew shooting the first time the shotgun, and the shocked look on his face, because it really kicked. Well, we would go out and just shoot target practice. I see them as a tool. I see them as entertainment, some having fun, and I don't see any problems with them. I enjoy going out to the firing range when I come down and visit the boys and shoot handguns. I'm not particularly fond of a handgun, but because I think that they're a little more dangerous than a rifle as far as likelihood of somebody getting hurt. I think it depends on where you're at and the neighborhood you're in. If I was lived in a neighborhood where there was a lot of high potential risk, I would have no problem having a gun for protection.
We actually had guns, rifles at our ranch, so we have a family ranch. I don't remember ever using those. I did, however, get to go to, I went to the base, I think Ramstein Air Base in Germany, and shot an M16 when I was 11 years old. That's really one of the only times I've shot a firearm. I'm staunchly opposed to gun control because I think if you look back to our the Second Amendment to the Bill of Rights, 1791, it wasn't dissimilar to what the British had in theirs. It was 102 years earlier than that. So we adopted similar policies, but to me, the interesting thing is, had we not had that Second Amendment, I don't think we could have withstood the British, because we wouldn't have had a means to actually defend then our shores. I mean, as things get progressively worse, I'm sure I'm going to elect at some point to have firearms in my house. Up till this point, I've gone over half a century without them, and I probably, unless something really untoward were to happen, and then it might be too late, I will exercise my right to go get a firearm. I do remember one incident, and it was actually my next younger brother, and it was at my mom's house, and he had a pistol that had gone in between a cushion and the base of the couch, but was underneath there, and I think Mom was cleaning up there and encountered the gun. Unloaded. Still, I remember her being absolutely furious to have a firearm that she was unaware of in her home. That's another thing. I think, whatever the rules are, where you are, you need to abide by them, whether it's a family thing, whether it's a state thing, whether it's a national thing, international, whatever. There are laws and mores in place, and not always fun to abide by. I've never really felt in harm's way. I don't know how to put it. I mean, we were surrounded by it, and I remember going to SeaWorld trying to leave our neighborhood, and we'd have to go different ways out of the neighborhood because it'd be cordoned off with police tape. So it was, yes, a very sketchy neighborhood. But so far, I haven't really felt the need for it.
And as early as I can remember, probably around 5 or 6 is when I started getting introduced to them, and started with BB guns, just kind of getting into the firearm safety and what is all included in that. And then we would go out shooting with my dad, 22s, and then as we got older into Boy Scout age is when the other leaders would bring their firearms and would take us shooting, and that's probably when I got introduced to handguns as well.
Well, as you know, I did not really grow up around guns. I grew up in a ghetto part of Oceanside where there was a lot of gang activity, and even living in like the most like ghetto areas, like we still never had any kind of weapons in the house.
Mhm.
My dad had a baseball bat, and that was kind of, you know, what he kept by his bed just in case somebody were to come and try to give us any trouble. So it's definitely not something that I grew up around. It's not something that I'm very familiar with, and it's not something that, given my background, I feel is extremely necessary in a household.
And that's fine to have that opinion. I think it's multifaceted. I think there's the obvious self-defense for both the home and then while you're out in the community. You know, I also believe that, you know, it can be a great bonding experience. Father, son, friends, other family, and yeah, I think that it's just multifaceted that way.
So, given your background and given my background and our very differing opinions on the role that they should play in a household, where do you think that we should go from here?
I'll just continue. I mean, I try and respect your opinions about it. I, you know, will invite you to go shooting with me, you know, just to let you know that that door's open, but not necessarily to try and enforce my opinions on you. And likewise, for you to me, like, I know you don't give me a whole lot of grief about owning them, even though they're not something that you particularly enjoy. And I try and keep them not only just as a responsible gun owner, but to respect your opinions as well. I try and keep them out of sight and locked away, so that way, except for, you know, the handgun that I carry on me at all times, I try and that's my way of trying to respect your differences while living the way I feel that I should be living. I think it's a personal responsibility to protect those around you, and so I try and my view on gun ownership is probably a little bit more, I wouldn't say stringent, but I hold it to a higher level than a lot of people do. I think there's a lot of gun owners out there that just look at the Second Amendment as their personal ticket to carrying a firearm at any point in time, and no one can tell them no, which to an extent that's true, but I think that in order to be a responsible gun owner, you need to take a step above that and train yourself, go out, shoot, become familiar with your firearms.
And so I got you that gun safe for Christmas
You did.
a year
You
and
did.
a half ago or whenever. How
Uh-huh.
many times have you used that?
I use it all the time.
Do you?
I do. I keep my shotgun in there. My AR-15 is a little too short for it, and so it bangs around, doesn't allow me to close the door all the way. So one of the things, once we get that room all cleaned out and situated, what I want to do is start taking essential pieces of the firearm that are easily accessible out. For example, like the firing pin or something like that, and storing it in there so the gun itself doesn't necessarily have to be locked up, but it won't be operable if someone comes in and steals it. So what I can fit and lock in there efficiently, I do use it
Cool.
all the time.
Well, I think that we talked enough, so thank you, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop now.
Okay.